Days after her speech was impaired from the trauma of suffering an alleged sexual abuse at the hands of two self-styled pastors for 4 months, 18-year-old Precious has begun psychological therapy. Her father told JoyNews last week she was threatening to take her life, but that has changed after her first session with therapists. Komladum has more in this report.
As soon as you start talking about that thing, she becomes wild. She now easily gets angry. She wrote something which was a little bit disturbing. I gave it to the doctor that she feel like taking her life.
A desperate father of an abused 18-year-old speaking up about the fears of a girl who was kidnapped and raped by two Nigerian men. The experience of a 4-month-long ordeal was eating her up.
They took me around.
From one place to another?
Yes, but they never gave me access to anybody, to the people, or to phone or anything. They followed me anywhere, anything I want to do. They spoke for me. They told people at that place that I was their girlfriend, but they never allowed me to speak. So anytime I eventually tried to speak, they sent me back and they beat me up.
While the family struggled to cater for the medical bills of a girl who reportedly had severe injuries in her private part due to the abuse, Precious's speech was impaired.
We are taking treatment at the Kolbu Teaching Hospital, where at the same time she has to be going to Aflao because of the police case, court case. Shuffling up and down, and this, and it creates a lot of problems.
She became aggressive and violent at the least provocation, calling for justice to be served.
What I want is that justice should be served. They shouldn't just go scot-free. You see, when they go scot-free, it will continue repeating itself again and again and again, and nobody will be saying anything about it.
Days on, a group of clinical psychologists and psychiatrists have moved in to offer their services to the victim free of charge. Precious met Reverend Father Anthony Amponsa and his team for the first time as a long journey to recovery begins.
She was talking in a way I didn't like. For example, she said for her, she had the chance to kill all men, and speaking, in a way that disturbed me. I was still in a dilemma as to what to do because the way she was behaving, I didn't like it. Fortunately, the psychologist called and he came. I was surprised. He came all the way. Oh, may God bless him. And after they met for over almost an hour, but I didn't think she was calm. He talked and, make her feel better that it's not a loss. You cannot take your life. You cannot condemn all men. So I think I'm grateful, and I believe it's going to happen into the days ahead.
The two suspects currently in custody, George Andrew and Maxwell Peter, are expected to reappear at the Keta Circuit Court on Monday after investigators pleaded for more time to carry out some probe at the crime scene. But even before the court hearing on Monday, women's advocacy group Women in Law and Development in Africa, WOLDAF, wants mandated state institutions to ensure such victims of abuse and their families are protected as stipulated by law.
It is very important that domestic violence and victim support units should do more for victims and survivors of domestic violence by giving psychological support to victims that comes to them. Not just the victim, but the victim and the family to better deal with the trauma and help the parents or the family to also help the victims or survivors' journey in recovery.
Though it may appear a long road, Precious should come out of this stronger. She would not be left alone.